Good afternoon, everyone. If we could all gather and take our seats. Welcome to our third and final meeting of the Commission on Mental Health. It is great to see so many people here because I know a lot of you had to come from a far distance to make it to Allen, Texas for our meeting today. And maybe one of the reasons that you're here is to, like me, get a chance to thank and express gratitude to Judge Barbara Hervey, who, as many of you have known her as a fine jurist for decades of public service to Texas, and in particular to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. But what we know about her is so much more than that. She is the person, among a few others, that took the germ of an idea that was to become the JCMH and made it happen. She is the one, together with her presiding judge, Sharon Keller, and my chief, Nathan Hecht, who saw this need and thought what good could come from assembling a group of stakeholders all interested in improving mental health, and in particular, people with mental health challenges who encounter our justice system. And it could not have been more timely. We could not have predicted the rising need for care for mental illness and for intellectual and developmental disabilities. But because they saw it and had the vision, we are here today. And everybody knows it's one thing to come into an organization that is fully fleshed out and running like a top machine. It's like buying a brand new car. But beginning an organization is like building a brand new car, and a lot more challenging. And as we reflect on how much we've accomplished over the last few years, we could not have done it without Judge Hervey at the helm, and in particular, because I came along in the year after the commission was created and was first introduced to this group at the summit and bombarded with acronyms and that I now have a handle on what they mean. But she was such an incredible partner to me and somebody who never lost sight of what our mission is. She would, be driving home from San Antonio to San Antonio at 8:30 at night on a Friday night, and I'd look at my phone, I'd be having a margarita, and there it was, Barbara. And I was like, oh, I could keep enjoying this margarita. Or, I could talk to Barbara because I know what she has to tell me is important and it's going to make a difference to this organization. And so not a lot of calls do I take on Friday night when I'm enjoying a margarita, but I took hers, and always to my benefit. So she's just been a great partner, and this organization is deeply indebted to her. There is a wonderful, wonderful tribute in this month's Bar Journal to Judge Hervey and her work with our commission, penned by our Vice Chair, Justice Bill Boyce, with some help from Christy Taylor. And so I just want to commend that to you because I think, it will just sort of warm your heart that those who care to read the Bar Journal, I hope people do, and see this article, they'll have just a small glimpse into what Judge Hervey has accomplished for our organization. And so for that, thank you. We love you, and we look forward to your continued participation in this organization and in this important field, because I know it's near and dear to your heart. And let me see if there was something else I was supposed to say. We're going to have a great meeting, really interesting topics, and that's about it. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Judge Hervey.
That's hard. I will pay Judge Boyce later for his kind words in the Bar Journal, but good afternoon, everyone. I want you to see that I am moving on. This is my prison outfit, so perhaps they will catch up with me for all the things I've done wrong all these years. But I want to thank you for those very kind words, and I want to tell you that my work with the Commission and the grantees with the CCA, these have been highlights for me. Yeah, there's that judicial thing I do that they pay me for, which is important too, but these have been highlights in my career, and I'm grateful to have worked alongside of all of you and to have met all of you, and I know you'll do wonderful things in the future. So now, so I don't cry, we're going to turn to the meeting notebook, okay? You all have one. Oh, but before I say that, you've all been given this family guide, the Children's Mental Health Services Guide, thanks to the wonderful people at Health and Human Services. And Courtney, I want to thank her because she not only gave us to these, but she didn't charge us for them. And it's a really good resource. So I want to thank them right up front. So now turning to your meeting notebook, you're going to find the agenda at tab 1. And behind tab 2, you'll find a list of the members of the commission, executive committee, commissioners, and collaborative council. And the meeting minutes from the last commission meeting can be found at tab 3. The staff spent a lot of time capturing all the good work in these minutes, so please send them any links or notes that you would like to send to help make the minutes more useful. Behind tab 4 is the big picture budget that Patrick will be kind enough to discuss with us. Tab 5 is the most recent report to the commission that outlines our progress on the different projects and committees. And we've set aside time for announcements from our collaborative council members. If you have an announcement, please write your name on a card, announcement card, and turn it into the staff. And we'll have a break planned at 2:10, so you can feel free to step away as needed also. Next, we'll hear from our Executive Director, Christy Taylor.
Thank you, Justice Bland and Judge Hervey. Well, I don't think I could say it any better than Justice Bland did, but I would also just like to thank Judge Hervey and turn your attention to a few slides of her many years in this commission. One of our commissioners said at our last meeting a quote that I think sums up so much of what she has done. Adrienne Kennedy said, "I personally want to thank Judge Hervey for her leadership on this amazing commission from vision to implementation. Judge Hervey's generous personal transparency is unparalleled in the judiciary. In short, she has been courageous and zealous in her pursuit of justice in this context of mental health and IDD." So we have cakes honoring Judge Hervey that we would like to share with you all at our break. They are outside, and they are in hopes of sending Judge Hervey off with a sweet send-off. So. This is also the last meeting. Oh, sorry, yes.
Judge Hervey didn't note tab 6 in the material, so for those of you who haven't seen the Bar Journal article, thanks to staff for including it there.
Thank you, Professor Shannon. Yes, because I realized that the Bar Journal article doesn't go to everyone here. So thank you. So this is also the last meeting for Commissioner Judge Bonnie Helms. Where is Judge Helms? There you are. Hello. So we want to thank her. I met Judge Helms in probably 2006, working at the Children's Commission. So Judge Helms has had such an interesting career. She served at the University of Houston and Rice for an entire career, using her licensed family and marriage counseling at her LCDC certificate and serving in that capacity, and then went back to law school at night, served as an attorney for 10 years before sitting on the bench for 20 years. And that's leaving out a whole lot of things. But at the district court bench, she started the first family intervention court in Houston at the 247th, and I became closely involved with her infant and toddlers court. So she is saying a tearful goodbye as well. She's moving to Tennessee, but we have promised that she will not be forgotten and we will stay in touch, and her work will definitely live on. So thank you, Judge Helms.
Does Tennessee have a commission?
Yeah.
If Tennessee has a commission, it's going to grow even better pretty soon. And if it doesn't, one will get started. I served as a district judge with Judge Helms back in the day, and her campaign slogan was "Give 'em hell, Helms," and only in the best of ways. And she did. People, when she spoke, people listened, and she's called so much attention to the needs, particularly of youth in Texas. So thank you, Judge Helms.
Thank you. Okay, so we have an announcement for our JCMH staff. We have 2 promotions to announce. Molly Davis has been promoted to the Director of Operations. And Kama Harris has been promoted to the Director of Policy and Education. I am deeply indebted to these 2. They have turned something that was an idea, and that it seems like we were always reinventing the wheel, trying to get things going, to both of them going into their 5th year. Now everything is just a well-oiled machine, and I know y'all work with them enough to know that, so thank you very much. I also have the honor of introducing a new staff member, Michael Garcia. He is our new office coordinator. He comes to us from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. He holds dual degrees in political science and horticulture from Texas A&M, and we are glad that he's joining our team. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be joining y'all. Y'all do amazing work, and I'm excited to start helping them out with the mission.
Thank you. Okay, and one update that I wanted to share is on our county mental health law plan. We actually made a video. I'm going to give Rose time to get back to start it. But you've heard about this idea, and it came to fruition this last year as a pilot program where there were 8 counties that our teams traveled to. We created a checklist of all the mental health laws so that counties could do self-analysis and then compare ideas and share their best practices with other counties. So I think the video says it all. At the Texas Judicial Commission on Mental Health, we know that judges, attorneys, and other county leaders want to see the legal system improve how they respond to people with mental illness, intellectual disability, and substance use disorders. However, the mental health laws are complex. They're scattered across the civil and criminal code, and they are not well known. So we want to support judges. We know they wear a lot of hats. We want to bring together their communities to help them enhance their accountability and ensure that these processes are streamlined. The JCMH created the County Mental Health Law Plan to provide counties with checklists so that they could do a self-analysis on how they're doing on mental health laws. Next, we provide legal education on these laws and follow that up with individualized workshops that go in and help a county assess where they're doing things really well and where they may need more coordination. After the workshop, counties receive a report with recommendations and innovative ideas. Ultimately, the goals of this program are to improve the fair and timely administration of justice, to enhance community safety, to save our counties money, and to ensure that all Texans receive just and compassionate treatment.
My jurisdiction on the criminal cases is misdemeanors, and what I would see is people come in on criminal trespass, criminal mischief sometimes. They're sitting in jail, we appoint an attorney for them, they cannot negotiate with their attorney, pleas cannot be entered. There was nothing to do with them, and you would see those, they would come into court, I would talk to them, and I could tell they didn't even know what was going on. And that's when I decided we had to figure out something better than what we were doing.
We had a very good turnout. I believe we had close to 40 individuals show up. That included the county judge, our DA, several defense attorneys, and just a lot of partners who sometimes don't sit at the same table. At the beginning of the day, it felt like it was kind of guarded, but as we got into the education pieces and communicating about the laws and showing them the Judicial Commission on Mental Health kind of roadmap, I think that helped everyone kind of relax a little bit and realize that we were on the same team.
It's very clear we all want to provide the best care for someone in a mental health crisis. It's very difficult and painful for someone to have to go through that, and combine that with the judicial system. We want to make sure people are safe and getting care. So today, one of the main things that we covered was emergency detention, transportation, and ways we can work together to move forward to overcome some of those barriers that maybe we didn't realize they were there, or maybe we didn't realize how big that they were.
The next steps are to research, get those specialty courts done, get a mental health officer certified, and then start from there and get possibly every law enforcement officer certified as a mental health officer, and get those collaborations going to get the services to our citizens that they so desperately need.
I mean, I'm gonna call the gaps we identified, the questions we identified as successes, because until we dialogued, we didn't know what we didn't know. So it's an opportunity to educate, to train. It's an opportunity to address the legislature, to do some fixes that we think create some problems in a local mental health process or system.
I would love for us to be able to take those points that we learned today that maybe we aren't exemplary and work on those for 6 months and come back in this room again with the same people and be able to say, we fixed those gaps.
I think that the plan will be a great roadmap for us as we move forward. Burnett County is growing rapidly, and so we do recognize the fact that things are going to change just as rapidly as our growth is going to change. And so it's a roadmap for the future that we'll need to just stay on top of and make sure that we're updating at all times to stay current.
I'm just very grateful to the Judicial Commission on Mental Health for being a part of and a partner with different counties in the state, especially our county. They've been extremely supportive, and we really appreciate all their advice, their information that they provide, and the help that they have given us in being able to improve and find ways to serve the community at large.
Well, thanks to Rose for making the video, and to all of the counties who welcomed us into your communities. The pilot program counties were brave. They, whenever you go first, you never quite know what you're getting. So we really appreciated that. We will talk more about that on Friday. I have a short session to discuss that further. So now we're going to turn to Patrick to give us an update on the budget.
I don't know how it always happens that I'm following the video, and I recall from a couple of years ago that Rose said, oh, well, we can maybe make a video and we can do the finance and the budget, but still waiting on that one too, Rose. So, so our budget and expenditures to date can be found under tab 4, and as we inch closer to the end of the fiscal quarter, or for the first quarter, you'll notice there's not much in terms of expenditures, which is typical for the JCMH. And That's mainly because we do this event, which some of you may have heard of, called the Judicial Summit on Mental Health, which, believe it or not, takes a considerable amount of staff time and resources, and it's not leaving much for other projects at the first part of the year. The summit is covered with funds from 2024, and so the only potential change would be to this budget that's under tab 4 would be an amount of 2024 lapse. So as of now, all of our 2024 funds are either spent or encumbered for the summit. And I will highlight a lapse, if any, at our next commission meeting because we'll have those final summit numbers in advance. I would like to take a few minutes to go over the exceptional items that were submitted with the Supreme Court's legislative appropriations request on behalf of the JCMH. These aren't, unfortunately, going to be in your notebook, but if there's any questions, those can be, I can answer them for you, or I could provide you with a document after this meeting. So these are going to go in order of priority for the Supreme Court as a whole agency. So if I skip a number, that's just because there were other initiatives or requests that were put before this. So starting with priority number 1 is a collective judiciary-wide request to increase staff salaries by 6% to combat inflation and to maintain our high-quality workforce. Priority 2 is to add an additional full-time equivalent position to the JCMH staff. This position would focus on curriculum creation and coordination of JCMH's major statewide training programs to include the Summit, the Liaison Pilot Program, the County Mental Health Law Plan, and the Mental Health Courts Collaborative, which I'm sure you'll hear more about each of those that Christy didn't cover as we go on. Priority number 3, we've requested funding to combat the increase in cost associated with goods, services, and travel to maintain our current operating levels in the next biennium. And then finally, priority number 7 is a request to expand the local court liaison program, which you may know, it was formerly known as the Community Diversion Pilot Program. And to that, we're going to add an additional 5 counties. So the total for the JCMH exceptional items is $1,802,094, and that's going to be for the biennium. And that's all I have for you today. And as always, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If I can't do it right this minute, I think we're going to be here for a few days, so I will definitely get back with you. And if there's no questions, our 2 Jerson residents, Judge Brent Carr and Judge John Specia, will now provide their updates to the commission.
Oh, I've got a note. I didn't see that from Christy on here. Judge Carr, depart from these remarks and die. Okay, I got the message. All right. Well, we're having a banner year. We've got great attendance at the conference. We've got 1,100 people registered, 400 attending in person, and 700 attending online. Rose and I worked very hard to make a lot of this happen. Rose is going to give you some more information about that in a moment. But we have reached some large milestones, and I want to congratulate the Summit Committee and the staff, as always, for putting together a really great lineup. We're going to kick off the summit this year with a fellow named Robert Canino, and I actually saw this. I was flipping channels one night, and I saw this. There was a documentary on about this thing that I was never aware of. He's going to discuss a case that he was personally involved in where over 30 men were taken from a Texas state-supported living center and basically forced to work at a turkey processing plant in Iowa for about 20 years. And the verdict he achieved in 2013 marked the largest judgment in EEOC history. And this creative litigation changed the way we handled disability-related cases. So he will be a really coup of a speaker, and I certainly look forward to getting to meet him in person and hearing his remarks. We also have, we're expanding, as you know, over the past year into the area of substance abuse disorders. So that will be included in our session, and we've formed a new substance use disorder committee. And lastly, on Friday, where our speakers will share some practical, so it's important if you can hang in there to the last session, because we're going to bring presentations on de-escalation. I will say that with some profoundly mentally ill people in my veterans program that I had back in the day, there was this one guy who threatened to either beat me up or shoot me about every time I saw him, but I really never worried about it because he'd go out in the hallway and forget that he ever met me. That's how profound his injuries were. And de-escalation in many settings is a very important topic, crisis negotiation techniques, that a practical insight about how you can employ these things in your courtroom. So really big show beginning tomorrow, and a lot of thanks again to the staff for putting this together and really forming the backbone. And now I'll recognize my partner in crime, Judge Specia.
Thank you, Judge Carr. I appreciate it. Most of you know that one of the JCMH's initiatives Okay. Yeah. Hi, guys. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the SIMS mapping program, which is short for Sequential Intercept Model, which was developed by SAMHSA Gain Center. And it's a framework for identifying all the points in the justice system at which a person with mental health needs, substance use disorders, or IDD can be identified and potentially diverted to appropriate and available services in the community. I was very lucky to be involved in some of the first ones we did, and I was trained to do these. And it is amazing what happens at SIMS mappings. And if you've been involved in one, you know, but if you haven't, take the opportunity to get to one. Because even just sitting there and getting all the right people in the room creates a situation where people can make big gains very, very quickly. And so it is something, it's marvelous, and we're getting better and better at it. In 2021, JCMH held its first youth SIMS mapping in Denton County and followed that effort by dedicating a majority of its SIMS mapping workshops in 2024 and 2025 to juvenile justice systems around the state. In 2024, JCMH mapped the juvenile justice systems in Blanco, Llano, Cameron, Grayson, and Smith counties, and also collaborated with the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute to map the juvenile justice system in Williamson County. During these mapping workshops, community members break into teams to start working on their priorities for change, identifying issues and working on their priorities for change. Some of those priorities have been the formation of a county behavioral health leadership team, identifying mental health needs before a child's behaviors lead to involvement in the juvenile justice system, and improving the transitions between the detention center and the local schools. These workshops would not be possible without judicial leaderships. One of the things I found out when I was a sitting district court judge is the one thing we can do is call meetings. And people come because they're afraid not to come. We one time had every superintendent for every school district in Bexar County show up because they didn't know what we were going to do. But getting people to the table is critical, and creating a safe forum is critical. And the judiciary provides that leadership. And in every one of these SIMS trainings that we've done, the judiciary at every different level has been directly involved. We are seeing judges bring the people together, lead the conversations about improving systems for our children, our families, and for our communities. And I went a little bit off topic. Next, our JCMH staff will update us on their projects, and I'm going to pass it over to Molly Davis.
Oh, thank you, Judge. And if y'all are interested in bringing a SIM mapping to your community, I can tell you that JCMH still has room for one more in 2025. So if you are interested, please come find me. We would love, 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 love to come to your hometown and map your systems. We got a few days to handle that, like Patrick said. I have a quick report on our technical assistance projects. Judge Spisha talked to you about sim mapping. All of our sim mapping reports can be found on the JCMH website. Those are a good example of what a mapping could do for your community, what kind of goals other communities are working on around the state. There's a lot of similar challenges, and communities are really taking the opportunity to tackle them in different and creative ways. But we also offer other types of technical assistance, like expert consultation and professional peer networking. As of November 15th, JCMH completed 71 technical assistance requests. We served 339 people in 41 Texas counties, often one at a time, folks who are calling us for assistance in one way or another. And many of those requests we farmed out to all of you because we know someone who knows someone when we don't have the answer ourselves. So we very much appreciate that. We serve many statewide groups from the state of Texas, and we also serve people from the states of Colorado, Kansas, Maryland, and Ohio. I'm especially proud that people in smaller communities like Duval County, Erath, Val Verde, and Young counties know about us, and they're reaching out to us. And I think that that's in part like a credit to all of you as well. You're taking our message and our work with you where you go. So thank you so much. We have one more great technical assistance opportunity coming up in January, and I would love your help in getting the word out about it. Earlier this year, we ran the first of its kind Mental Health Courts Collaborative. Over the first 3 months in 2024, judges who wanted to start a mental health court or who had a brand new mental health court got together on Zoom to learn about grants, funding, data collection, ethics, and other best practices for treatment courts. The participant judges were also paired up with mentor judges who have been presiding over treatment courts for a while. We're going to run this program again in 2025, and we are expanding it to include judges who want to start other kinds of treatment courts. So treatment courts that focus on substance use or alcohol, like DWI courts, we would love to make this pool bigger. It's called the Treatment Courts Collaborative now. We have applications on our website. I'll be carrying them with me everywhere I go for the next 3 days. So if you know somebody who needs to be in this collaborative, please come find me. We will make it happen. And I'd love to introduce Kama Harris next.
Thanks so much, Molly. So an important part of our commission's work is our Legislative Research Committee. So this committee studies and recommends improvements to laws and rules relating to mental health and intellectual and developmental disabilities. The committee is comprised of judges in all levels of the judiciary, law enforcement, physicians, and mental health professionals. In advance of the 89th legislative session, the committee completed their final report and recommendations and submitted it to the Texas Judicial Council. I'm happy to announce that on September 27th, the Texas Judicial Council adopted all 16 of our recommendations. The entire JCMH report is included in the Texas Judicial Council's Civil Justice Committee and their Criminal Justice Committee reports and recommendations. It's also available on our website and on the Texas Judicial Council's website. If you'd like to know more about all of these recommendations, you can come to Professor Shannon and Dr. Harvey's session at 8:45 on Friday morning, reason to get up in the morning, and it'll be on the 2025 legislative session perspective. Thanks so much, and I'll send it to Andy.
Thank you, Kama. The JCMH Data Committee has spent our meetings this year discussing and finalizing a best practice data guide for Texas mental health court programs. Dr. Almeida and Chief Perez, or Chief Medina, I apologize, have been great in their leadership in getting this done. This guide is intended as an introductory reference to fundamental data issues faced by mental health and other specialty court programs, rather than an exhaustive treatise. And so we're excited to put it out in the world and get feedback to improve future versions. This guide includes a basic sample spreadsheet database and answers to common questions that come up. We believe this will be a great resource in helping programs use data more effectively and efficiently. Additionally, I help with the Substance Use Disorder Committee that we started up this year, and that is chaired by Judge Roxanne Nelson. And so we had our initial meeting on September 24th. We're still in the process of setting our priorities and figuring out what we're going to work on as a committee, but the first meeting was an incredible brainstorming session from stakeholders interested in understanding and working to address substance use issues in Texas in and outside of court programs. We're planning our next formal meeting early next year, and we're having an informal gathering tomorrow during lunch in the hospitality room right off the lobby. If you would like to join us, we would love to have you. I'm happy to guide you there. There will be signs, and we would love to work with you. So I'm now going to turn it over to Rose McBride.
Hi. Since we met in April last, we've released 7 more episodes of the JCMH podcast, which is called Reimagining Justice, Exploring Texas Innovations in Mental Health. We had a very diverse group of guests in this latest batch of episodes, and we had people from El Paso to Amarillo to San Antonio, Houston, all over the state. And we've had judges, law enforcement, attorneys, social workers, and psychiatrists. It truly is every facet that we touch as a commission. The podcast focuses on innovations that can be replicated in other areas of the state. So if you or your county has an innovative program that you would like to see on the podcast, you can let me know today or in the next few days, or you can send me an email. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also go to our website, and I have links to each of the episodes on the podcast page on the website. We also added 3 new webinars to our video library. This summer, we hosted 1 webinar each month in the summer about different aspects of competency restoration. These were very well attended, with more than 250 people registering for each one. Commissioners Lee Pearson and Vicki Rice hosted the June webinar, which was called What You Need to Know About Competency Restoration, with 2 of their colleagues from Dallas County. And Judge Nelda Cassiati hosted the August webinar called Options for People Who Are Deemed Unrestorable, alongside her colleague Alice Taylor from My Health, My Resources of Tarrant County. We thank you for sharing your expertise. All of these webinars are eligible for 1 hour of continuing education credit. The replays are available on our YouTube channel. You can find the CLE information on our website under Summer Webinar Series. We received some media attention for our county mental health law plan workshops. A TV station in El Paso and a newspaper in Fort Bend County highlighted our work, bringing these important subject matters to their area. You can find those stories also on our website under news. And finally, as Judge Carr mentioned earlier, we achieved great success with this year's Whole Texas campaign for the summit. This is our 3rd year running the campaign, and the goal has always been to get at least 1 person who works in every county in Texas to register for the summit, either in person or online. And this is the first year since we've kept track of data that we've had a registrant from every single one of Texas's 254 counties. Yes, we are so excited. I'd like to give special thanks to Judge Carr, who worked very hard to reach out to some potential attendees in some of our counties where no one has ever registered for the summit. He talked to a lot of people at LMHAs to register, and thanks to him, we have a registrant from every LMHA in the state as well. We had a goal, and he wanted to make sure that we met it. Speaking of the summit, I would also like to ask all of y'all to share some photos or posts about your experience at the summit on social media and tag us. I'll be getting a lot of the speaker perspective and posting photos of the speakers, but I like to get the participant perspective as well and reshare what y'all are posting. You can find our social media channels on the back of your notebook. There's a QR code to all of them, so I would love it if you could tag us. And I am going to turn it over to Christy, who's going to lead us into break, where we have a nice little treat outside. Christy?
Hey, thank you. Let's take a 15-minute break, and afterwards we'll see a demonstration of our innovations map. But we will be serving cake, and there's coffee in the back and water in the back. Okay, so we'll see you back at, right at 2 o'clock. Perfect.
Okay, guys, I guess I can use the mic. Let's take our seats and we'll get started and get this program finished.
All right, welcome back, everyone. And at this time, I'm going to call on Andy and Jennifer to talk to us about the innovations map that began in 2022. And as you know, it's an interactive guide on the website to what counties are doing all across Texas in terms of what's available in their county, people to contact and reach out to in our county. It began with a project of Judge Hervey's that came through the Court of Criminal Appeals, which is a compendium that the CCA publishes called the Mental Health Resource Guide. We're now going to have a demonstration of how the map works, and hopefully you can use it as an education tool in your area, but also help us contribute by providing content.
Thank you, Justice Bland. Jennifer, I'm going to go up to this podium and use the computer here. So Jennifer, will you briefly introduce yourself and then walk us through how you use the map?
Yeah, sure. Hello. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. My name is Jennifer Toon. I am the co-founder and the executive director of Linus, Justice Impacted Women's Alliance. Our mission is to, first of all, we're made up completely of system-impacted women, girls, and gender-expansive folks, current and formerly. We have about 400 to 500 members on the inside. And about 400 to 500 members on the outside to some degree in engagement. So our mission is to end the incarceration and systematic devaluing of our population in the Texas criminal legal system, and to also build power in our communities and within ourselves. So what we do is we're a statewide group, but we are developing local groups throughout the state. Our hope and intention is to have these pockets of local Linus advocacy groups working on advocacy, but also serving as peer support, community building. What we know is that the way we got through our incarceration was through the women around us. So one of the tasks of our lead organizers that we hope to identify, yes, we are very ambitious in thinking that we'll be able to identify somebody in each county that can serve as our lead organizer for that county, and then be able to gather resources for reentry, to be able to vet those resources and to share them with the folks that are coming home. And so a couple of years ago, when I was first introduced to the Judicial Commission on Mental Health, I was shown this map. And I'm going to try to multitask. I'm not real good at it. I've had a lot of cake and coffee. I hope I didn't run anybody over when I was going out the door. So when I was introduced to this, I thought, how incredible is this? I don't know if y'all realize this, and maybe you do, right? Of just how difficult reentry is as a whole, right? It feels like you're emptying the ocean out with a teaspoon. And for those of us that have been in the system, it is even harder because we're given outdated lists of resources that don't really apply to us, or they've, you know, it says Texas Department of Corrections referral, you know, so it's really outdated. And then when you get out after 30 years or 20 years, you often don't know how, right, to use technology or where to go. So this map was really interesting to me because I was like, so you mean to tell me that I can click on a county here in East Texas, where I am originally from? I'll click on Rusk County. If it will open, is this, there we go. Okay, sorry. Again, technology, and I've been home 6 years. So you can open up that county and it gives you some drop-down list that have resources. And I was like, wait a minute, this is incredible. Do people know about this? And then to learn that, you know, the commission was trying to build this out and make sure that folks in the community could add their resources to this. And so I'm like, wait a minute, so y'all are doing the vetting, right? Like, so I know that when I click on one of these counties, and I know that this map was originally intended for direct service providers and those in the legal community, I use it. And our lead organizers and our outreach director uses this map when we can to identify basic resources, right? And so we know that, you know, maybe something is not on here that we're looking for, but we do know that the things that are listed in this county have been vetted and they're credible. So that, well, we can contact someone at this address and they can link us, because that's the way reentry resources work. It is networking. So this is an invaluable tool to us. And I hope that other counties and other people, other organizations will continue to add resources to this because it really serves as a great way for us to be able to find those resources that we know everybody needs. They're credible.
Thank you, Jennifer. That is exactly the goal of this map. And so we're so delighted to hear that it's serving the purpose that we want it to. As Justice Bland said, it started as a continuation of the works that Judge Hervey was doing with the CCA Mental Health Resources Guide. And so, as you saw earlier, there is a clickable map of every county in the state, and you can click on each county and see what resources we have. It's organized according to the sequential intercept model, the SIM, just to make it easier to find what resources are available at each stage of the proceedings. So someone going through the reentry process would go to the later stages and look at the resources there. It is all manually entered and updated, so we encourage solicitations and suggestions for things that should go on there. And also, if you happen to find something that an organization has closed or something like that, please let us know, because we are manually updating all of these entries. And so there could be some things, but we do think entering them all on the front end by hand manually helps us to ensure the quality of the list and make it a great resource. A couple of the updates that we've done recently that we're very proud of are to show specifically juvenile resources. So there we go. So up here you can choose an age group and you can look at either youth, adult, or all of the resources in any given community. We wanted it to be easy to use, we wanted it to be comprehensive, but we also wanted it to not overwhelm people with all of kinds of lists that were not necessarily what they were looking for at any given time. We also were excited to add some innovations headlines. So let me show you one that we put up just the other day. So in Bexar County, they are using some COVID funding for substance use intervention and peer support. As we hear about things like this, Rose does a good job of sending out an email with innovations like this, but we also want to create a record on this website so that people know what interesting and new programs people are trying across the state. We want it to be kind of just a billboard for different interesting things that people are trying. So we are really excited to get to share this with you. It is a great resource that I hope continues to improve. And up at the top, there is an option to add a resource. You can fill out the form yourself, and that will go to us, and we will then double check everything and put it up on the website. So we hope that this website is great, and if there's anything I can do to make it better or improve how it's used by you, please let me know, and we're happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us that you found this tool useful. I think it always helps to know if something we're doing can help someone like you that is helping so many people. And, anything else you think of, let us know, because you're, they're on the ground floor helping the very people that we want to help. And so as you come up with ideas, send them our way. We appreciate you taking the time to come and tell us that you found this helpful. So.
Yeah, when I was asked, I was like, I'm a big fangirl of. I tell people about this map in the community all the time, and really, I know sometimes it can feel kind of. I'm asked at work to fill out forms all the time, but like if you see a resource that's valuable, please put it in this map. This is really helping the work that we do, and it's really inspired us to start thinking about. Really working on a reentry network that really just expands on the work that y'all have done and taught me as a part of the collaborative council. This is an incredible idea. Reentry is a absolute mess in terms of solidifying information, credible information, and keeping it up to date. So I'm really grateful for this. So thank you.
Definitely an underserved population, and one that I know there are several people around this table that are involved with helping those people from different angles. And so thank you very much. Okay, and along those lines, we're going to hear from everybody around the table now. And I think the way we're doing it is someone's name is going to appear, and then when you see your name, I'm supposed to say your name, but hopefully you'll see your name. And we're just doing it in alphabetical order. So that helps a little bit. Okay, so and we'll start with Dr. Alameda, and just please feel free to give us your announcement. And I think we were also looking for one area of expertise that you could maybe share with others. Not that we're going to put your name on a list of people that are resources that we can reach out to, but we probably will. So just know that, because one of the things that we want to do through this commission is share the good work that everyone around this table is doing with people who are trying to get off the ground wherever they may be. So Dr. Alameda, take it away.
Thank you. Is it on? Oh, it is on. Okay. So I'm Connie Almeida. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health for Fort Bend County. And I was trying to think of one program to share because I know we were limited to that. So it's ironic because we've actually done some work with the Lioness Project, but we just connected. We have a federal grant from Second Chance, OJJDP, so Office of Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention, but what we're actually focusing on is parents that are incarcerated and their minor children. It is so difficult. We're working with the parents while they're incarcerated. We're working with the community caregivers that are taking care of those children. So often it's the grandparents, often it's multiple caregivers. They're all over the state, so even though they're in our jail, the families are all over. So trying to connect them with resources and reentry plans is extremely challenging. But the project is called Always Parenting, and I will make sure that I add our information to the innovation map. Thank you.
Okay, executive functioning tests for all of us and general paying attention to the meeting. We're going to so Judge Anderson is next, but after that, you guys just in line. When you see your name, say your name and give us your announcement. It'll go a little faster.
Okay.
Devin Anderson. I'm the president and CEO of Justice Forward, which is a nonprofit in Houston. We raise money to help people in specialty courts in all of the 17 specialty courts in Houston, 2 in Galveston County, and now 4 in Fort Bend County. We provide transitional housing, grief and trauma counseling, college tuition assistance, and criminal history cleanup for those folks. And I guess my announcement would be that since I was at the last meeting, we are supporting 4 courts in Fort Bend County, the felony mental health court there, 2 drug courts, a misdemeanor and a felony drug court, as well as a juvenile court for anti-human trafficking, getting kids out of prostitution. To share an expertise, I think you said, would be substance use disorder for me. I was a drug court judge in Houston, and I'm also a woman in long-term recovery with 15 years sobriety. So I'll be at the lunch tomorrow, wherever and would like to be on that committee for sure.
Okay, here we go. Got a microphone. So I'm the chief of our mental health unit with the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office. I've got 4 attorneys in total. We are working on civil mental health and criminal mental health, incompetency, insanity, and so forth. So we work with all of our mental health programs in the county that are court-run programs. And I guess the other thing that we've really been focused on this year is our Tarrant County Mental Health Diversion Center. We've had some challenges with census and having law enforcement do street drop-offs. So we've spent a great amount of time going around and talking to the officers at roll calls and so forth, educating them on the center, having meetings at the center and really working with collaboration. But one of the things that we did this year to try to get more people over there is we met with stakeholders and came up with a process for us as the attorneys to divert people with pending cases to the diversion center, which mostly results in dismissing those cases and with their agreement to go to the diversion center, which is very robust in their services and has really had a lot of success stories. So we've had some good success with that. And that's it. Thank you.
Hi. Okay, I did it. I'm Camille Dubose. I am the district judge of the 38th Judicial District, which is Uvalde and Real counties. I preside over a post-adjudication felony mental health treatment court and have done so. My brain is a big pile of mush, but I think probably for 12 years now. I'm not positive. I was trying to think of a program. You said it could be any program in my county or counties, and the program that comes to mind that I think has the most impact in Uvalde County is called Team Uvalde. It's been in existence. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. It is a group of agencies, and I made a list so I wouldn't leave things out. So it includes the court systems, the school systems, the public health providers, ministerial alliance, service organizations, counseling and mental health programs, public transportation systems, higher education systems, so forth and so on. There's a representative from each one of these groups. They meet monthly. They talk about services that they provide, issues in the community that can be addressed. They have a listserv, so it's an email listserv, and I'm on it just for an FYI. But they, if there's a need, they put it out there into the void of, into the group, and someone responds to the need. It could be, I have a mother who has nowhere to go. She needs a temporary housing until we can find somewhere for her. Someone will respond to the need. We have a family that needs an air conditioning unit. Someone will respond to the need. So as you know, Uvalde suffered a tremendous loss on May 24th of 2022. This system was already in place so that when all of the other people who came and responded out of the generosity of their hearts to help our community, they were there to take them in. And a lot of them, including the UT system, still come to the meetings and provide help and services. So it's easy. It doesn't cost any money. And the best thing is they don't compete against each other, the agencies. They help each other apply for grants. They write letters of support. So it's a real teamwork, hence the name Team Uvalde. That's it.
Hi all, I'm Rachel Gandy. I'm the Chief of Staff at the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. I'm filling in for Chandra, our Executive Director today. Some key agency updates. The biggest one really is our continued implementation of dialectical behavior therapy within our facilities. Yeah, we're very excited. So it's now being implemented at all 5 of our secure facilities. The next steps will be implementing it at our halfway houses and for our youth on parole. We also have some programs in place to expand that to the county level, particularly in detention facilities, which has been exciting. We're hoping to also incorporate it into some of our credible messenger programming and expand that programming as well. And then speaking of the county level of the system, we got a federal grant at the beginning of the year. We've been working with Meadows on this to map local resources, to do a lot of the work that's already been talked about today, so that we can better understand what are some of the resource gaps contributing to youth coming into not only state level care, but county level care in the juvenile justice system, so that we can fill those gaps really intentionally through our grant making process. And so we'll be sure to keep y'all posted as all of that comes together. But that grant period will end next year. So it's a sprint, but it's happening, especially with Judge Wheelis' support. We really appreciate you on our board. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Porter Gore. I'm the municipal court judge for Allen, Texas. Welcome to my town. You all can come to my house tonight and we can sit on the patio, but you're going to have to help me put away all the clothes we folded last night that are sitting on the formal dining room table, so I'll just apologize. As a municipal court judge, I don't interact with the county a lot. I'm kind of an island in the ocean. But one of the big successes that I've had is I created a juvenile and adult specialized dockets. And we're not specialty courts because I don't have defense attorneys, because with Class C misdemeanors, there's no funding for that. But it's for adults and juveniles with that have special needs with mental health or substance use disorders. And we're seeing some great results with that. We're getting about a 70% success rate without recidivism. I've been able to convince my city to give me about $100,000 of the opioid settlement money that I've split up between 2 proven providers that are basically saying they're working with me to create some programs at a low cost to my client, to the defendants coming through, or to scholarship them, because they're going to use that money to create more therapists in their programs. So we've been really happy with that. I'm trying to think. I guess that's about it. So, but welcome to Allen. If anybody needs to know where to go or what to do, I've lived here 24 years. So it's a great town. Right across the street, you can find everything. So that's the nice thing about this location, is you're within walking distance to everything.
Good afternoon. I'm Emily Eisenman. I'm here for Miss April Zamora. I am our Deputy Division Director with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Rehabilitation and Reentry Division, and Tacoma. Some of our brief announcements, as many of you know, TDCJ recently went through sunset. The report is out. Our first hearing has happened, with the next one scheduled next month. One of the important outcomes of that review was we had some merging of divisions. We are not just reentry and integration any longer. We are now rehabilitation and reentry. And what that did is it brought kind of some of those behavioral health all under one umbrella. So sex offender treatment, substance use treatment, and Tacoma and reentry all sit in the same house now. So we are excited for some of those behavioral health changes. And our last announcement is our legislative appropriations request has also been published and signed off by our board. Tacoma specifically had a $12 million ask for the next biennium. $5.9 million of that was to support existing services through our local contracted LMHAs. And then 6.1 million was to support a joint probation effort for dual diagnosis treatment beds, where probation and the CSCDs fund kind of that substance use piece, and then we're part of that treatment piece. Thank you very much.
I'm Elise Ferguson. I also represent the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers in my position on this commission. And in that capacity, I am the chairperson for their mental health committee and have been for several years. And one of the things I think that we've accomplished this year that I'm most excited about is a hands-on seminar for defense lawyers on how to handle competency cases. And I'm still stunned every time I do a seminar and have an attorney who says, I've been practicing for 30 years and I've never had a competency case. And I'm thinking, how many did you miss? So it's very apparent that we have a lot of education left to do. Vicki Rice was on this last committee with me, and it was a bring your own case and hands-on, here's how you do it. We were fortunate that our LMHAs and our local communities, we recently had a seminar in South Padre, and the LMHA there, Tropical Texas, gave us volunteers who came and they acted for us. They were our intakes for our individuals that we were doing intakes on, so that our attorneys could practice and see and observe signs and symptoms and interact with those officers and those providers in the community as well. So I think that's been quite productive, but we've got a lot of work to do.
And I'm Judge Matt Hand. I'm the judge of Potter County Court at Law Number 2. I also sit as one of our 2 juvenile judges, and I preside over our mental health court. Not sure I'm qualified to mentor anyone in anything, but I believe I am the only regional mental health court in the state that I am authorized to accept participants from the top 26 panhandle counties. It's been a very interesting process trying to work with multiple commissioners' courts, DAs, and probation departments. So if you are interested in expanding operations, I can help you identify some of the pitfalls, and maybe you can help me figure out how to overcome them. What I would sort of like to learn more about is I would like to figure out a way to improve the services that we are delivering to our juvenile defendants. It's both in detention and out on release.
I'm Bonnie Helms, and I am probably one of the best in this entire group at decluttering and packing. And I am still falling very short, however, of being able to handle my emotions for saying goodbye to so many people that I've cared so much about for so long. And I just wish this group the very best, because you already are the very best. And the work that you do is so important to our community. And I am so proud to have been a part of you all. Thank you.
Don't know what I did there. I'm Dave Jan. I'm the judge of Denton County Probate Court Number 1. And things have really taken a positive jump for Denton County this budget year. Our Denton County Commissioners Court allocated $1 million to fund our crisis residential unit, which is a 6-bed step-down facility coming out of inpatient treatment and out of the jail. They formed a committee to kind of supervise the utilization of that meets at least monthly, but a little more often. And we're maintaining a pretty full census on that. They continued to give us money and have indicated that next year they'll fully fund our crisis diversion coordinator after the grant from this body ends next year. They gave me a mental health court paralegal to supervise our brand new AOT program that we were awarded for 75 patients a year at $750,000 a year for 4 years. And then the highlight for the month of October was going down to Texas A&M School of Law for World Mental Health Day and doing a criminal and civil panel for the law students that was moderated by Justice McClure and included Judge Phillips, Judge Cassiotti, Elise Ferguson, Judge McGowan from Tarrant County, myself, and then Molly Davis from the commission came up and brought a bunch of literature and information from the commission for the students. And what was really interesting to us was one of the topics the law students really wanted to know about was how we as practitioners dealt with secondary trauma from the practice of law. And that was something I never even heard of when I was in law school. So that was, a fair number of the commissioners were on that deal, and we've been invited back next year. So if anybody would like to participate in that in World Mental Health Day, let me know.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Kennedy. I'm so visually challenged, but I've been trying to keep track, so I think I hit it. I'm here and probably going to do some shameless advertising for the things I know that we could probably make use of within across the state. And as you know, I'm the past president, twice now past. Two other presidents have been president before me or after me of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. But I'm also a national trainer for NAMI in many of the key programs that I believe are very relevant across the communities that we serve. Greg Hunch, I don't believe is here yet, but I want you to know that I've mentioned it before, but I've been maybe too shy about it because it would have been just shameless promotion, but now I'm getting into the shameless promotion part. We have, there's a course called NAMI Provider. It's a 4-hour introduction. It was developed around making providers more aware of the lived experience of people with mental illnesses and substance use disorder and also family members. But now it's been actually re-geared and rekeyed. I've been working with Dr. Terry Brister so that it can be presented to anyone in the justice system. So this is one thing that we could really tune up and provide and offer in your communities as well. The other thing I want to say, and of course I've mentioned before NAMI Basics for people dealing with young children, and there's also NAMI Basics for professionals, which I in fact have trained with the family liaison in the juvenile justice system, when the families are receiving their children back home, etc. So anyway, there's a lot to be appropriated out of the NAMI treasury of things that could be, I think, useful in your communities. So get in touch with me or get in touch with Greg Hunch on that, and we can put it together. I mean, I'm a national trainer for about 4 of the programs. The other thing I want to say, I just came back from All Rise. I'm on the board of All Rise, and in the rebranding, as you know, they've added the dimension of mental health and mental health courts and whatnot. But one of the things I learned just this time was that there's such a thing as an alumni program, how to start a treatment court alumni program. I don't know if you've heard of it, if you've seen it, or if you know it's around. I downloaded this off of the national website, actually there are 2 alumni court folks, or people who sit on their board of directors, which is just newly formed. It was formulated in 2022, but two people here are in Texas. One is a graduate of the treatment court program in Bexar County, and another one is out of, in the Valley, anyway. So I think the important thing here is to know that the lived experience, the voice of lived experience is such a powerful element in the work that we do. And I think the more that we can connect people who have really grounded themselves with their lived experience and have a voice to share with us, it's a torch in the darkness. It's really a torch of wellness and recovery capital and their recovery style of what they've done to commit themselves to their recovery. So I want, just go to the website of NTCAA, the initials NTCAA, and you will see how to start a drug treatment alumni program. The last thing I want to announce is that Dr. Javier Amador, as you may have seen already, has transitioned from being a standalone person to someone connected now with TAC, Treatment Advocacy Center. And so I believe you'll be seeing a lot more and hearing a lot more that's very relevant to our judicial work from Dr. Amador. Thank you.
Can I take a picture of that?
Oh, yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Lawson. I represent the Community Center in Lubbock, Texas. We are the local mental health authority, the local IDD authority, and the local substance use authority. In addition, we have a service line for veterans and also for geriatric and aging, frail elderly. I guess right now I'm probably best known by my accidental title, and that is construction superintendent. They didn't teach me a lot in my undergraduate program for psychology and my MBA program about I have to understand electricity stub outs and drains and culverts. And thank God I'm married to a civil engineer because I can ask him some of the things that I have to write down because I don't know what it is. But we are in the process of doubling the size of Sunrise Canyon Hospital through very big blessing dollars that came from COVID, American Rescue Plan Act, and also some of the double-edged sword that was the big revenues for Texas that came from inflation. But we are the only local mental health authority that operates its own community-based hospital. I would say probably that's my main claim to fame in understanding how a hospital fits in a continuum of care with diversion. And by diversion, I mean diverging from a higher cost, less clinically appropriate alternative, such as an emergency room, a physical medicine hospital, jail, or a state institution. Everything we do is community-based care. We are expanding Sunrise Canyon to go from 30-bed capacity to 60. In addition to that, our community invested in us to actually have a building within which we will house our diversion services. Much like you in the public sector, you retrofit. I don't care if it's an elementary school or if it's a community place that they donated a building to you at one point in time. And so we literally have our diversion services in an administrative area that we retrofitted with a little grant from a foundation locally. Our county and city donated funds for us to build a building to put our diversion services. We are in the process of also expanding our pre and post crisis. Diversion is only as good as its prevention and only as good as its aftercare. And so we're really looking for pre and post crisis services for us. We also are pretty well known for our jail-based competency restoration expertise. And I have had the benefit and the blessing of being able to be involved in system service design, public policy, and I'm one of those weirdos that understands public finance. So that's what I bring to the table.
Good afternoon. Mike Lee. I'm the Chief Deputy at the Harris County Sheriff's Office. In that role, I oversee the daily operations of the agency for Sheriff Gonzalez, who just won his third reelection. Just a quick update from Harris County. I mean, we still are struggling with our jail population. Today's count was 9,713. I look at it daily. We outsource inmates to 2 locations in the state of Louisiana. We also have inmates in the state of Mississippi. You know, we've done a lot of work over the years, some really good work around diversion. We have a misdemeanor diversion center that I think maybe Denise may speak on this afternoon. We have a crisis drop-off center that was built about 20 years ago. And we have a sobering center that's been very successful. We have co-responder teams in the Houston Police Department, the Harris County Sheriff's Office. I know the mayor just recently expanded those teams. I know Commissioner's Court just gave us funding last month to expand those teams. So we're doing a lot to try to divert people away from jail, but our population is staying stagnant. Unfortunately, our length of stay is about 5 to 6 times the average length of stay in the state of Texas. The average length of stay in a county jail is about 30 days. We did see some progress this last month. It's been right at 181 days for about 6 months, and now it's down to 179 days. So wasn't a lot to celebrate, but it did tick down a little bit. In addition, where we're really seeing problems is with our state wait list, and I know on break we mentioned, I think Judge Carr, we were talking about that. It's the highest by far that I've ever seen. Today it's at 337 people on the wait list in Harris County. So the good news is, the one thing I do want to, I guess, send some kudos out is to the state, and I know Wayne Young's not here today, but to the Harris Center for one of the promising practices that we do have in our jail. Like Beth, we have a a JBCR, or jail-based competency restoration program that we've had in place for about 2.5 years now. It was a pilot for about a year and a half, a 20-bed pilot, and the results were phenomenal. So the state and Commissioners Court has invested in that program and expanded it now to 50 beds. Their restoration rate sets at around 92% success rate, and within 65 days. So we're seeing some really good work there. They've been able to move 324 people in the 2.5 years through that JBCR program. And I know if any of y'all would like to come down and visit them, they'd be more than happy to host you. They've had a lot of folks come take a look at the program. They go around and do a lot of presentations. So that's kind of the update from Harris County.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Leonard, and I'm judge of the 238th District Court in Midland. And like the few people before me, I also like to do the jail-based restoration of competency. If your jurisdiction hasn't done this, I can tell you, it's one of the best things that Midland County has done. It not only saves just a ton of money, so from the commissioner standpoint, it's almost a no-brainer, but it really gets people restored to competency in a lot less time and avoids the trip to the state hospital. Also out in Midland, it's more of a Permian Basin regional project, and we're building a mental health hospital to serve the entire region. I think it's about 140 beds, but then they're also adding on 40 beds. It's going to be a public-private for the competency restoration for non-secure facilities. So that's looking at opening, I believe, in April of 26. So we're excited about that.
Good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Lewis. I'm the Executive Vice President for Justice and Health at the Meadows Institute. And we're excited to share some really good news. Earlier this year, we received a one-year planning grant as an implementing partner, only one of 3 in the country, to come up with a state-specific action plan around behavioral health emergency responses. The only other states that received this grant were Ohio and Michigan. This is a project, the project itself is actually called the Behavioral Health Emergency Response Initiative, or BERRY. It is underwritten by 3 national funders. Pew Charitable Trust is one, and the PEGS Foundation is another. And it's also supported by a strategic partner, NYU Marion Institute. You know, there's a lot of great work going on in Texas, and often people come to Texas to visit and see how we do business. And this is an opportunity for us to showcase and scale some of those good strategies that are working. It is an opportunity for us to bring a 3-year, multi-million-dollar opportunity to the state. This is not an opportunity that would just be Meadows being a technical partner, but it includes pass-throughs to local communities, so it's a big deal. Part of what we're hoping to do is start with a few select communities and demonstrate how we can scale opportunities here to set us up for a 10-year investment opportunity for the entire state. So some of the vision around this is to really enhance the existing crisis care continuum in Texas, ensuring that individuals experiencing behavioral health emergencies receive a dignified, person-centered, and evidence-based response. Part of some of the unique contours that are a part of this work is starting with 911. Ensuring that all 911 behavioral health emergencies are coded and coded well. In addition to that, we're hoping as we move into the 10-year stage, not only to code behavioral health calls or assist in really, you know, kind of articulating how to do that well, but also thinking about even with domestic disturbances, criminal activity, how you still code for people who might have a mental health emergency. The second is really to think about implementing and scaling health-forward alternative responses to ensure that folks are not harmed, but also have an opportunity to kind of go to community care. And then the final piece is really thinking about no instance of unnecessary lethal force, which is a really important component of the experience for people who are calling 911 for help. So this is an opportunity for Texas to really demonstrate how we're able to share with the rest of the country how we do our work. And share strategies with the field. And we're hoping that, as usual, we're able to work with all of you in this room and our partners across the state to be able to bring more investments to Texas.
Good afternoon. I'm Pam Liston. I'm the city attorney of Decatur, Texas. I'm also the associate judge in Fairview, Texas. Those two places encompass Wise County and then also Collin County. One of the things that has happened since the last legislative session is that municipal courts and justice courts are required to submit a youth diversion plan to the state. And through this process, it has given me the opportunity to connect the municipal court with the county court, with the county juvenile probation, and share information, particularly regarding juveniles and their families, in ways that has never been done before. So sometimes we need a little nudge from the legislature and great things happen. I've also been teaching a class for Texas Municipal Courts Education Center regarding consolidated fund and the dedicated funds, one of which avenue you can spend if you're a rural location that does not have a juvenile case manager. You can divert funds from the youth diversion consolidated court cost to your LMHA. That's a lot to say that I'm engaged in providing this education to judges and to clerks about how to best serve our communities. And I'm proud of the work that we've done on the legislative committee coming up this time around and led by Professor Shannon. Very proud of the work that we've done and just thrilled that all 16 of the proposals are going forward.
Good afternoon. I'm Stacy Matthews. I am the presiding judge of the 277th District Court in Williamson County. I have an adult criminal docket and I am the juvenile judge in Williamson County. And before I say anything about what we're doing, I really do want to say, since it's Judge Herbie's last official meeting in that capacity, I think we'll continue to see you. I've been honored to serve since the inception of this commission, and I just want to personally thank her. You've been a role model and a friend, and this is a hard meeting. But what I've been thinking as I've been listening to everybody is that first meeting we sat in and everybody went around and introduced themselves and talked about what they needed. Everybody was at this loss. Like, well, we do a little bit of this, but we don't have, and now it's amazing in a relatively short amount of time, the work that the leadership of this commission and all the people that have been involved, the education alone, how much are we able to do in our communities that everybody's getting to talk about because we're getting that piece out there. The resource handbook and now this online resource guide that I know Judge Hervey was kind of your vision of getting those resources put together and all those things, but I am just blown away by what other counties are doing. And so one of the things that has always run through this from the very first meeting was, how do we get together and collaborate? We are a big, great state, but we all have different resources and we all have different needs, and by creating those partnerships and those connections and being able to reach out to each other around the state, and that's one of the things I'm so thankful for about this group. And so in Williamson County, I'm thinking, what are we doing that's kind of new? And neither of these things is, well, one of them's new. But it wouldn't have been for the collaborations and the partnerships that we would have been able to do these things. And the first one is, I'm going to talk to the group over here, the last three of you. We started a JBCR program. Sorry, Andrea, I'm stealing your thunder. But it's incredible, and I cannot tell you, we went to an Eliminate the Wait meeting, and it was great, and from there just jumped off, and it's been no looking back, and I cannot tell you the success we've had blown us out of the water. So that's something that William, so for those of you, I know Harris has been doing this longer than probably anyone, but we have 700 people in our jail. Y'all have 9,000. So if you're in a community where, you're closer to the size of, Williamson, we're right outside of Austin, Georgetown area, please feel free to come and visit. It's been a great success and something that we're really proud of. But from the juvenile, putting my juvenile hat on, to speak to what Judge Spisha talked about, we this year collaborated and partnered with our Juvenile Services Department with Step Up Texas and the Meadows Foundation, and we did juvenile sim mapping, and we did it literally over the course of like 9 months and met every month, and it was really incredible, the process in identifying gaps and really the focus of, and actually Molly was at most of our meetings. So y'all, it was you guys that helped sponsor some of that. So the commission, the Meadows, and Step Up Texas, and just being able to, what are our gaps? What resources do we need? And how do we keep kids shallow in as much as we can? And so I want to thank the commission because y'all supported us in that. I don't think we did it through the commission, we did it through the Meadows, but y'all were side by side with us. So that's another thing our county has done, and our juvenile service department is incredible. I take no credit for it. Matt Smith, who's not sitting right here because he's in DC, is a good resource for that. So anything we can do to help.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Tyra Jones McCollum. I am the presiding judge of County Court at Law number 2 in Fort Bend County, but I am also very proudly the presiding judge of our Veterans Treatment Court, which services not only misdemeanor, but also felony treatment folks who are introduced into the criminal justice system. I think that because we are a general jurisdiction court, we have 4 of 6 areas that touch mental health relevant topics: juvenile, criminal, mental health commitments, and probate. So there's hardly a day goes by that our 6 county courts at law do not touch some topic. With that said, one of the things I would encourage as a process, which is, it sounds small and simple, but it's something that I did when I did our relaunch of our Veterans Court, which is we took one form that was at the jail, that was a form that was our consideration of our inmates that were coming in. And the one question that I found that was troubling was to our veterans, are you a veteran? And by changing the nature of that question from are you a veteran to do you have military service, we went from 4 participants in our Veterans Court program to matriculating 30 in a matter of 14 months. And this was because we found just the identification of a veteran's title rather than military service spoke to a stigma. And so if we just reevaluate what we believe are just standard forms with a fresh eye, I think that can have a lot of power and impact in the work that we do. With that said, I think what I'm most proud of on behalf of the judicial system in Fort Bend County, if you want to talk about matters of data, because I'm from the home of Dr. Connie Almeida, you can see her on data. But if you want to talk about matters of the heart, then I'm your girl. And what I will say is that we are such a growing county, Fort Bend, and so we have in the neighborhood of 10 treatment courts and diversion courts, and so 3 of those have come up in the last year since we've last met. One of them is the launch of Veterans Court, and then 2 more are our C courts, which are to service our emerging adults. And so that's that population of about 17 years old to 25 years old. So we are busy growing. We are proud that we had our first diversion court fair in Fort Bend County, and that fair was to introduce our legal community as well as our social community to the fact that we have these diversionary courts and that they exist to service, because what's the benefit of those courts if people don't know about them and they don't know how to access them? So we've got lots of good stuff going on in Fort Bend County, and then I would be remiss if I did not say in my last statement on behalf of my dad to our our folks who are also military veterans here. My Sergeant Marine Dad, I would say Semper Fi to each of you.
I'm so happy to follow you. Good afternoon. I'm Amber Morrison. I'm with the Texas Veterans Commission, Veterans Mental Health Department. I'm the operations manager, and I'm sitting in for Dr. Blake Harris today. Thank you for speaking to the asking if you've served versus are you a veteran. That was going to be part of my spiel as well. But I'll start by saying within the Veterans Mental Health Department, for those who don't have familiarity, we operate 6 programs. We have our Justice Involved Veteran Program, our Veteran Homelessness Program. We have a rural community and faith-based partnership program, provider training program, suicide prevention, and then also our military veteran peer network. That is composed of over 60 peer service coordinators. Speaking of lived experience, the impact that they have on their local communities is invaluable. There are boots on the ground. They serve every county throughout the state of Texas. And one of the things that we've been really proud of this past year is we've been reached out to by multiple states that have discovered our military veteran peer network just through the internet, searching and wanting to see how it's operated and how they can get one stood up in their state. So we're really proud of that. Asking if you've served versus are you a veteran is very important to us as well. We just rolled a whole rollout guidebook that we tried to spread across the entire state for different organizations and agencies to be able to use in the work that they do so that they can hopefully reach more veterans. We are not the VA. We work very closely with the VA, but one of the very unique aspects of the Veterans Commission is that we will work with any veteran, whether they've had a couple of days in boot camp or they spent 20 years in the service. We don't turn anybody away. We're going to find resources for them and help guide them, whether they qualify for veteran-specific services or not. So we're really proud of that fact. And what we're really excited about right now is as we're getting ready to embark on the next legislative session, there's been a lot of interest shown for veterans' mental health. So Dr. Harris planned to be here today. He will be at the summit, but he was called to a meeting with the Office of the Governor, along with Dr. Harvey, to speak about the great work that both agencies are doing and hopefully just raising awareness and getting some more resources and help with the emphasis on veterans' mental health and the importance of it, especially the state of Texas. We've surpassed California. We have more veterans than any state in the country. So it's important work that we're doing, and we're really proud of it. So happy to be here today, and thank you for having me.
Good afternoon. My name is Roxanne Nelson, and I'm Justice of the Peace in Burnett County. And I listen to all of you, and I'm so very excited for everyone and their programs and their progress. But I still have to come here with my hand out and say, I speak for approximately 240 rural counties that can't access or provide these same programs for the citizens in our counties, these vulnerable individuals that need so very much, but have so very much to work with. I thank our local mental health authority, Bluebonnet Trails Community Services, because they do a phenomenal job with the money that they do have. But if anyone in this room can advocate for additional funding for our rural counties, I plead with you to please do whatever you can to help us do more regional approaches, more collaborations to provide some of these same services in our rural counties. Now, that's not to say that we don't have something going on in Burnett County. So during the course of the last year or so, our Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office has started working with Llano County and Blanco County, and prior to that, it was just a Burnett County Public Defender's Office. And you're going to hear from a group of people that are now working together in that collaboration. Tomorrow between 3 and 3:40, we have 2 mental health deputies from Llano County that will speak. We have a mental health paramedic from Blanco County that is just phenomenal that's going to be part of that, as well as Christina Sanders, who is our social worker that's now working with our public defender's office. The 4 of them work really well together. And you think about the progress that we've made when law enforcement can work with the defense attorneys in order to have the outcome that is fair for our criminal defendants is really phenomenal. So I look forward to seeing some of you at that breakout session tomorrow, and we're thankful that we have those resources in Burnett County. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Denise Sonkin with the Harris County District Attorney's Office out of Houston. I'm an executive bureau chief there. And mental health is one of the several divisions that are under me at the District Attorney's Office. And we have, as my colleague Mike Lee has said, we have a lot of great programs in Harris County, but just because we're the biggest doesn't mean we're always the best. But one of the things that we have done a really great job on is our Mental Health Diversion Center. And many of you across the state have come to Harris County. Thank you so much to take a look at our program there. And we are always trying to visit with each of you and learn what you're doing in your jurisdictions. In fact, I'm gonna go see my colleague right next to me in Tarrant County, their diversion center, as I'm on my way back to Houston. But I will say that our diversion center has now been working for 6 years, 6+ years. We've diverted over 12,000 individuals without criminal charges to the diversion center. And I will tell you, recently I was there touring through a group of colleagues actually from my law school who wanted to understand the mental health diversion center there. And I saw a police officer from one of our jurisdictions come in to bring an individual. And the individual had been out there, I'm not sure if it was trespassing or what particular offense was going on, but I saw the officer bring the individual in. I thought he handled them very well. It was a quick check-in, less than 10 minutes. The officer handled the situation. They then took the individual to sit him over and began to, take his shoes off and start to assess him. And as that police officer left, I saw him turn back around and walk over to that gentleman and fist bump him and say, "Good luck to you, sir." So that's the big change that I've seen in my jurisdiction, because 6 years ago, that was not the situation. And I did stop that officer on the way out, and I believe he was Houston Police Department, and asked him how long he'd been on the force, and he said 2 years. And I really wanted to thank him for his service and the way that he handled that individual. And I said, so what do you think about the diversion center? He said, well, this fellow really needed some help, and this was a place he needed to go, and we didn't need to do criminal charges on that. And I talked to him a little bit about what he'd been doing out there on the scene. But that's the big change that I see out there in our jurisdiction, and I see the change occurring across the state. I myself, along with 2 of my colleagues at the DA's office, trained 5,000 Houston Police Department officers when we first got started. And I will tell you that it's a 180. Mike Lee has been on the forefront of this from the very beginning. But I think that everybody has begun to realize that we really do need to help individuals who have mental health or IDD issues to stay out of the criminal justice system, and to really make sure that we have the services available in our community. So thank you very much.
I'm Judge Larry Phillips from Grayson County, which is the county north of us. If you go beyond that, you're in Oklahoma. Welcome to North Texas. I'm a general jurisdiction judge, and I do adult recovery court. Because of the work that's happened here, I also do a competency docket where we have a jail-based competency restoration, and life's amazing so that we've got those things going. It wasn't easy, just like everybody said, but we don't have a wait list. It's amazing. And with that, we have a minor mental health court that goes with that. It's just not a full-blown one. So the exciting thing about what's going on in our county is about the time that this organization was beginning, some local community leaders came together and said, we need to do something different about mental health, and ultimately formed the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team. That Behavioral Health Leadership Team helped us partner with JCMH for a diversion coordinator grant that we had. Through that, we've done 2 SIM mappings, adult and juvenile. We've completed those, And also, we were involved with the jail inreach with HHSC and JCMH involved with that, which got us all like jump-started amazingly, which sounds like it's happened everywhere. It's like fire taking off. But so we just, a big announcement is, one of the things that came out of our SIM mapping for adults is a diversion center or something we could do so that we had some alternative besides emergency room or the jail. And so we've spent a lot of time running into walls, trying to figure out how we could afford it, try to get the local governments involved, which, you know, they're challenged. And I did announce the Mackenzie Scott, who's a philanthropist, donated money to one of our foundations in our community. And they just announced last week that our behavioral health leadership team is getting a $1 million grant opportunity to start a diversion type program. It's pretty huge. And that wouldn't have happened without everybody involved in helping us get there. Do we know hopefully what we're going to do? We're looking at maybe a chair-based model as opposed to a bed-based model. They have that in Oklahoma, which is why I mentioned that across the way. I don't know if we can, where that's going, but if y'all have never heard of a chair-based model, I haven't either. I'm just finding out about it. And we're looking, that seems like it's a more cost-effective thing. Shameless promotion. I'm also president of the Texas Specialty Court Association, and want to invite everybody to our annual conference in Corpus in March next year. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lee Pearson. I'm chief of the Mental Health Division for the Dallas DA's office. And last year I got to announce that we expanded our division by 7 positions through ARPA funding. There's currently 11 attorneys. We have 4 clerks and an administrative assistant. It took us most of last year to get all these things staffed. And once we finally did, we wanted to attack our competency wait list and our intake wait time to get people off of jail time waiting. This year, we were told that the ARPA positions we got were not guaranteed. So it's like, now you've got to justify what you've done. So we started putting things together and showing what we had done in these initiatives. One of the initiatives we started last November was clearing the competency wait list on the back end, people who were found incompetent who were currently waiting. We started with misdemeanors in November, and then we started with felonies at the beginning of this year. We also used these positions to cut down our intake time. In order for a case to come into the mental health division, it's reviewed by an attorney. That used to be me. And the average time for us to review that was 49 days. With the positions, as we started putting things together, we used the JCMH Eliminate the Wait Toolkit. We used the Competency Restoration Toolkit from HHSC. We worked with all of our partners, of course, Vicki and her team at the Public Defender's Office, our local mental health provider, and so forth. Our wait list this time last year was almost 400. We had the biggest wait list in the state. Since we started, these are numbers from April, because I had to turn these into budget for April. We looked at, if I'm on the wait list and it would have been a 2-year wait and we got me off in 60 days, what's the savings that we had in jail time and in money? What we have saved so far as of April, getting people off of the competency wait list, is 91,285 days that mentally ill offenders will not be serving in jail on the wait list or waiting for us to do intake. And we've saved the county $7.7 million so far. Now, we did projections for the rest of the year. My daughter did that. She's a forensic accountant. She was able to put numbers together that I don't understand. And it becomes even more millions and millions and millions of dollars and days saved in jail. So the good news is, though, all 7 of those positions were confirmed and absorbed by the county in September of this year. We now have those positions. Thank you. Our newest initiative, we've just met with, again, all of the players involved and the district attorney. We're going to start looking at people on the wait list on the front end. The minute we get a competency report, we've been doing that with the misdemeanors. Our misdemeanor wait list has gone from 78 to 3. And we're now going to start doing it with the competencies. Because if we take 80 people off on the back end, we're putting 80 people on every month. So we're looking at, right now, do we have a compelling interest to even go forward on that case? Because we've driven our wait list down from almost 400. I believe the last time I looked, it was 265. And we've taken our 2-year wait for maximum securities down to a 1-year wait. So what I hope to report next year is that we're down even more, and that wait is just going down and down and down. That's our initiatives. That's where everything has been coming from. And that's where, now that we've totally confirmed with our positions, we're just going to keep attacking that wait list and doing other things. So.
Awesome. I always have to give credit to Mr. Pearson. I frequently refer to him as my at-work husband because we fight like cats and dogs, like brothers and sisters. And then in the interim, it's kind of like, okay, how are we going to make up? Going to give me a dismissal, going to give me a PTI, then all is forgiven. My name is Vicki Rice. I am the Special Programs Division Chief for the Public Defender's Office. Picked up a new title, in between and betwixt. I am now the acting first assistant for the Public Defender's Office. So a lot of changes is going on in Dallas County. But what remains consistent is our commitment to addressing behavioral health issues and barriers where individuals are intersecting with the criminal justice system. For the Public Defender's Office, we primarily get a lot of our funding through TIDC, the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, and we were able to add 4 positions to our behavioral health section. That's 1 individual for mental health cases, just in general, as well as another individual for competency cases. In addition to adding those 2 individuals, we were able to get corresponding case managers. Case managers are so important. I cannot sing the praises enough of having a case manager or a social worker on your team or added to your roster. They make the magic happen. Lawyers take the credit, but it really truly is the case managers and social workers to make it happen. By adding those individuals to it, as much as Leah has just basically said, you're able to cut up your pending docket. And now what we're finding is we're now able to go and start visiting our clients actually physically at the hospital. We are no longer waiting for you to come back from the hospital to continue to work on your case. We're going to the hospitals, discussing your cases with you, determining where you're at, and whether or not at the end of the day there is a compelling interest to move this case forward. Getting that information and being able to provide that information to your district attorney is going to change whether or not this individual is being released to the community or whether or not this individual is coming back into the system, unfortunately, to cycle, go off medication, and we're back at square one. So our goal is, as Mr. Pearson indicated, to come back and report that we no longer have a wait in Dallas County. And when we say no longer have a wait, we mean an outlandish wait. There will always be a wait. But we don't want to have and be able to report that individuals have been waiting in jail 2 and 3 years just to receive services. With that, I will tell you the biggest issue that, we would like to learn in Dallas County and to draw from the brain trust around this table is we see with our current state of our child protective services, 17 to 21, we have a lot that's going on where we're seeing a lot of young individuals coming into jail. These individuals can't themselves truly advocate for themselves. They can't really sign paperwork. They can't really do much. And we just find ourselves in this weird void. So we would like to partner with anyone that is around the table who has the secret to the sauce. We'll gladly give you credit for it, to what can we do to really truly start educating our young people to be their own advocates, to be capable of taking their health into their hands and getting out there so that they can become independent. We've seen a spike in Dallas County of our youthful offenders coming into adult criminal settings. But even though they're coming into adult criminal settings, they don't have the experience, nor do they have the backing of the law to be capable of handling themselves as adults. So we're doing great things, much as our partners indicated in Harris County. Even though we're doing great things, there's still so much more work to be done. So kudos to everyone around this table for all that you're doing. I've been taking names and writing down information. Please let us know what we can do in Dallas County for you, and we'll continue to plug away at this fight.
Well done, Vicki. I'm Andrea Richardson. I am the Chief Executive Officer for Bluebonnet Trails Community Services. We are a local mental health authority, local intellectual developmental disability authority, the outreach, screening, assessment, and referral entity for a region in Central Texas. So we serve 8 counties for IDD and mental health. We serve 10 counties for our autism treatment, 6 counties for our early childhood intervention, and 30 counties for our OSAR, or outreach, screening, assessment, and referral. The only reason I bring that up is because the only value that we have in the community is based on our collaborations. And so sitting around this room with such smart people, and Vicki, I want to copy what you just said, you really do learn so much from everybody, but you also have the great opportunity to steal great ideas. So Denise, Chief Lee, we thank you for allowing us to steal our diversion centers in our areas from y'all. Beth, thank you so much for years of work with gel-based competency restoration. But the beauty of collaborations is also that you get to assess the gaps in care. And so in Williamson County, I just wanted to highlight something that this county did. For 10 years, we had been working on filling in the gap for children, that early intervention stage for a child, regardless of a diagnosis, if it's mental illness, if it is substance use, intellectual disability, or autism, to come together and serve the child and the family. During COVID, one of the brilliant things that happened for us is that Williamson County sat down with us and said, we're getting some CARES funding, what do you want to do? 2 seconds later, we laid down a plan for our youth therapeutic respite program. This was our first 16-bed program that we had, and it was fully funded by Williamson County and CARES Act funding, with a wing and a prayer that we'd be able to sustain it. For the years of COVID, we were able to move to ARPA, and then our friends at HHSC believed in this product so much and saw the outcomes for the children that we've been serving for 4 years now in this program, that they have now invested in our grant applications, and we are serving today on an annual basis just over 300 children in Williamson County. And in Guadalupe County, our second largest county toward the south, also we're serving 100 children there in a 10-bed program. This is a phenomenal way to serve children and families, but it also gives us entry into making a difference with the Department of Family and Protective Services. We now have contracts with children without placement. You may have heard CWAP, another acronym I'm sorry to say is going to be on our list. And this is an opportunity for us to take children who do not have placement, make sure that they're able to start thriving alongside their peers, make sure that they have that educational background that will make sure they're going to be fine adults, but to take them out of the cycle that their families may be involved in, but don't place them back into that cycle without engaging the family and ensuring their strength in that home placement when they return home. So for all of our partners, Tacoma, we've learned so much. HHSC, we're so grateful. And NAMI, always. Just know that y'all have made such a difference in the lives of the children we serve, and we're trying to make sure that we pay that forward. Thank y'all.
Good afternoon, I'm Brian Shannon. I teach at Texas Tech Law School. I'm actually half-time at the law school and half-time working for the university as our NCAA faculty athletics representative. And I told Judge Stevens I should have worn red and black today to counter. Picking up on what Judge Jan commented about, talking about secondary trauma, I teach first-year law students, so with finals coming up in a week, I may be a cause in that regard. I want to talk, though, today about the engagement involvement I've had with StarCare and with Beth for many years, and Judge Drew Farmer from the Collaborative Council is here, too, and was our board chair and continues to serve on the board with me. I think it's very exciting what's been going on in Lubbock, going way back to having one of the first local hospitals and not having to depend as much on state hospitals because of Sunrise Canyon. You heard Beth say that we're now doubling its capacity thanks to a wonderful state appropriation. ARPA funds of $7 million between the city and the county are permitting us to build our crisis drop-off center that Beth mentioned, but I want to add that She came up with the name of the Hope Center, and I think that's very appropriate as we think about this. The best thing to come about, though, these are buildings, these are programs, those are wonderful, but the best thing has been the community collaboration, the county collaboration. The main players all got together to help make this a reality. We're a small big city or big small city. Our county has about 350,000 people in it, so we aren't necessarily rural, but the big players all came together. City, county, the two major hospital systems, as well as our medical school and Star Care. And between those six, the relationship that has been built has put us in, I think, a great position to look at services across the spectrum and try and go about it in the best way. Meadows Foundation helped us with one of their reviews, and people contributed to do that. So we're excited, the future's bright. Several of you have been out to speak for us at various things over the years, and a lot has changed over the last few decades. So it's exciting to be part of this group as well as back home in Lubbock.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenny Simpson. I am the State Forensic Director and Associate Commissioner for the Office of Forensic Coordination. I am here representing Deputy Executive Commissioner Scott Shacklin for the Health and Specialty Care System, which brings me to the update that I have for you today. Last month, the State Forensic Director position in the Office of Forensic Coordination transitioned from Behavioral Health Services, which is our division that oversees our contracted community-based services, to the Health and Specialty Care System, which oversees our state hospitals and our state-supported living centers. This decision was made by HHS leadership to really increase the emphasis and coordination and focus on forensics for HHSC, not only in our state hospitals, but again, in our state-supported living centers. This move also, with this, Dr. Felix Torres, who I know many of you know, our Chief of Forensic Medicine, previously for the state hospital system, is now Chief of Forensic Medicine for the Health and Specialty Care System, so covering both our state hospitals and our state-supported living centers. So we're really excited about this move. It creates a direct reporting structure also for forensics, which have been housed in our state hospitals. It now creates our reporting structure directly to our Deputy Executive Commissioner on forensics. So it really centralizes that for the Health and Specialty Care System. So I think some of the exciting things that we will have going forward, we're looking at improving how we provide forensic services, how we coordinate those, increasing clinical leadership on forensics in both the state-supported living centers and in the state hospitals. We're rolling out some exciting pilot programs, and I'm looking at Lee and Vicki over there in Dallas County and in Travis County. That's going to focus on waitlist management. We'll be increasing jail inReach to statewide, hopefully not just a learning collaborative, but grow that program. So also conducting long-range planning on forensics for the Health and Specialty Care System. So it's an exciting move. We're happy to report that and continue to work with all of you here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Smith. I want to just say thank you to everybody who's here. It truly is an honor to be here among all of you. I never thought in any of my years that I would be able to be sitting at a table with folks like y'all, just doing right by society. So thank you for that. Again, my name is Eric Smith. Since the last we gathered around the table, I was appointed to the board of directors of the National Nonprofit Schizophrenia and Psychosis Action Alliance. They do great work. And in my work, Eric W.T. Smith Consulting, I have now taken on clients throughout the U.S., including Alaska and Hawaii, as well as Canada, Australia, South Africa, Jordan, and the Republic of North Macedonia. I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that because there's a relevant point here. Even though policy and practice may differ from one geographic area to the next, there are these near universal human elements, the struggle, particularly related to mental health, substance use disorder, IDD. And I'm now hearing from these, some are formal parents and caregivers groups, some of them informally just parents and caregivers reaching out, and they want to know, because they've read my bio, they want to know, how can we do stuff in our geographic areas respectively? And I said, well, I'm not going to tell your elected leadership what to do, but you may want to take a look at what the JCMH does. Check out the website, look at the work they do, and understand the value of what happens when stakeholders, the relevant stakeholders, everyone who should have a voice at the table gets together and tries to find a way of doing right by others. Bringing it back to here in the US, I delivered the keynote at the NAMI Kansas annual conference this past month. And I lost count of the number of people coming up to me from both rural and urban areas saying, hey, Texas is getting it right. The JCMH is getting it right. We have to do something more effective to bring stakeholders to the table here. We had to have, they were saying we want to have NAMI Kansas at the table, the hospitals, the police leadership, various types of just folks who are involved in mental health, SUD and whatnot. So that may not show up in y'all's stat sheet yet, but there's great work being done and people are taking notice. I do want to bring it back to what's happening over the next few days. One of which is, and I was very grateful to see this, there's a young man by the name of Isaac Pino who will be speaking at the breakout session, AOT Court Voices of Impact. I first connected with this young man a few years ago, and at that time, I'll let him tell his story, but I'll give you the abridged version here. At that time I was talking with him, he truly felt like there was nothing meaningful he could do with his life. His mental health struggles, some of the substance stuff just got him to a point where he's like, there's nothing else that I can do. And in our conversation, he asked if I could teach him how to tell his story in a way that would matter. And first and foremost, I want to know, it already matters. Putting the words the way you want to put together, that's something to work on, but it already matters. And from going to this young man who I first connected with when he was saying, I just can't do anything meaningful with my life. What can I do that's worth doing? Here he is. He's Isaac Pino, dedicated advocate, AOT court graduate. And going back to the main question that was asked in highlighted yellow, what's one thing or one program that's working well in Texas? I am a product of AOT. I couldn't have lived without it. Isaac Pino, you're going to hear from him. Couldn't live without it. And despite the fact that AOT is in some circles polarizing, which, you know, they're free to think what they want, but it saved my life, and that's a fact. Isaac can say the same thing about his own. We still have work to do, but if there's any evidence whatsoever, the most powerful of evidence that something is working well, it's when someone who feels like they have no reason to live or that they can't do anything meaningful, the courts here in Texas, they get together, they do their thing, the people at this table come together and do their thing, and we have lives changed and people giving back in a way that they may not once thought possible. I probably went over my 2 minutes and I apologize for that. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to try to keep to the 2 minutes like Christy suggested, but I'm so excited hearing everyone's reports and updates from their respective counties. My name is Selena Solis. Good afternoon. I'm the presiding judge of the 243rd District Court in El Paso, and I don't really consider myself an expert. I feel like I'm more of an expert in progress. But I do like latch on to experts, which one of ours from El Paso County is Daniela Chisholm, and she is an expert on the civil commitment and AOT process, and she'll be speaking later, but she's done an amazing work for our county in that area. But I will say I'm an expert at starting an adult felony mental health court, the first one in El Paso County with a population our size. It's surprising that we did not have one. And starting it without any funding and calling the people here and a lot of judges and really working with the people in around this table to help get some funding for that. And I now have a great team and we learn every day, little by little. I'm about to hire a program coordinator, so that's going to be a big, big help for me because I have a big general jurisdiction docket. Some of the things that have been promising in El Paso of late is we were one of the counties, the pilot counties that participated in the mental health law plan, and that was really helpful. Christy and Molly came out and that was very productive, and we all were able, all the stakeholders came together, we were able to really see where our gaps were, like has been commented. And because of that, we now, I am proud to say, finally, are in the process of starting up a jail-based restoration competency program. And just like all the comments here, with relieving or eliminating the wait for individuals that have been detained for 900,000 days just to go to Vernon or Rusk. So I'm very, very happy and proud of that. I think we also, the juvenile courts, our specialty courts had a SIM mapping also this year. One of the things that we've done, we have several specialty courts, and we've all agreed, from the veterans to the adult drug use to, what is the other one? The DWI and the mental health. There is a permeation of mental health issues in all these individuals that we are trying to help. And we have started a specialty court committee that is chaired by our Judge Anchondo, who runs a very nationally renowned DWI court. And so that brings us together, and we share ideas. And then finally, we had NAMI come to El Paso, which for their state convention, and that was something very special for our local NAMI group, and that really benefited a lot of individuals that couldn't normally come to Houston or the bigger cities. And I'm just hopeful and that we have a new sheriff in town, a new elected sheriff, where you're going to have another new DA, and I really want to try to collaborate more, and I'm sure they're gonna, want to do the same, so we can try to have a mental health unit in the district attorney's office. I know it's hard, but what I love about all of this, to turning a bad into, or a sad into a good, is that we all work together, no matter what color we are, no matter what political group we're affiliated with, no matter what. Mental health affects every one of us and people that we know, and so this collaboration really is meaningful, and it's being taken to the next level. So thank you for all the leadership here at the commission, and I think I'm over my 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Charles Stevens. I'm Biscuit's handler, and also Comal County Court Law number 2. And before I talk about the program, before I forget, Ms. Morton, I'd like to talk to you about veterans and training the mentors. Ms. Kennedy, I want to talk to you about the alumni program. Judge Hand, I want to talk to you about regional detention facilities. And Andy, you'll be receiving updates from Comal County on the resource and innovations map. So we've got a number of programs, and shout out to Judge Wigington, who's on the Collaborative Council. She's taking care of our mental health court, and I really appreciate it. She's doing a great job, and I appreciate the fact that she took that off of my plate when she came on a few years ago. We have a program in Comal County called the Student and Family Empowerment Program, SAFE, and I'm just going to read what we have on the brochure. The SAFE program provides assistance to the families of children ages 6 to 17 who reside in Comal County and whose children demonstrate attendance and or behavioral issues that place the child at risk of truancy, educational setbacks, and behavioral difficulties. And this was seen as a problem, I want to say, about 10 or 12 years ago. It existed before that, but together, the Business Education Partnership of the Chamber and the Juvenile Probation Office got together and put this program together. And initially it was funded, I think it's still grant funded, but it was funded for the purpose of assisting kids who were not juveniles yet and trying to keep them from becoming juveniles. And it's worked really, really well. And so if you need I have a brochure and the card for Nora, who handles the program for the Juvenile Probation Office now. She's doing a great job. And it's done a lot of help as far as helping those kids a child that's 7 years old is not going to refuse to go to school. There's a reason they're tardy, there's a reason they're absent, and it's not usually because of the child. And if we can reach that child, before it gets too far down the road and catch them and help them get over the hump. It's usually the mother or the family over the hump. We can keep them from coming into the juvenile justice system. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Victor Villarreal, judge of Webb County Court at Law 2. The court has jurisdiction over juvenile cases, criminal misdemeanors, family law cases, probate cases, guardianship cases, and mental health cases. In addition to that caseload, I also preside over and administer the county's DWI specialty court and the Juvenile Drug Rehabilitation Specialty Court program. The two specialty courts are made possible through two federal grants through SAMHSA and the U.S. Department of Justice. I'm very happy to announce that as of last week, the Office of the Governor sent us notice that we were awarded 2 additional state grants to help expand services for mental health. So we're very happy and we're very blessed with those grants from the Office of the Governor and with the unanimous approval of our Commissioner's Court. One of the things that we do and that I've learned is that we don't call our juvenile drug rehabilitation program that. We call it the Youth Center for Success because we don't want young persons stigmatized for getting help. So whether they're telling their teachers where they're going or their friends, they always say that they're going to the Youth Center for Success. And that's what I tell the program participants. I tell our young persons, we want to see you to do well. We want to see you succeed. And we want you to live your best lives possible. So next year in January, if everything goes well, we're anticipating our first graduation. So we're looking forward to a very exciting 2025. Thanks.
Thank you. That's amazing and really well said. Judge Cindy Wheelis, and I'm from Collin County, and welcome everyone to Collin County. And I'm so grateful that Christy's home, and also we're all here enjoying this gorgeous weather, which has nothing to do with Collin County. My court is the 417th, and it gives preference by statute to juvenile delinquency cases. I've handled from the beginning 20 years ago to today a smattering of every type of case where we all started out as general jurisdiction, and then some of them later created were family and civil. So mine now handles juvenile, CPS, family, and a smidge of lingering civil cases, and a smidge of criminal that I certify or transfer to the adult court or transfer from a determinate sentence standpoint to adult criminal jurisdiction supervision. Something my county is doing well, I'm going to have to brag on Elise Ferguson. Again, as you all know, I am really grateful to her. She started out with her managed mental health council and really blossomed it into almost a sim mapping for our county. She always took charge of making sure that everyone was working together. I am proud of my juvenile probation director, Hadnot, and his juvenile probation officers and juvenile correctional officers for still believing that a kid is a kid even though they've committed a criminal offense. I think a lot of people say they want to work with kids, but the juvenile probation department, they want to work with kids who are still considered kids after they've, made a major mistake. Our mental health specialty court is called RISE for the same reason. We want to be your cheerleader. We want to say, hey, you made a mistake here, but if you do what this old lady's telling you to do, you're going to feel better, and you're going to say later on in your life, when you're in your 40s, hey, I felt better when I was going to therapy or whatever, and just plug yourself back in, your own agency going forward and being successful. And just honestly, just believing in them, looking at them with hope in our eyes. I look at Williamson County as a great role model, and one of the things that I think was also addressed, collateral instead of damage, like collateral benefit of the SIM mapping, was that they're also addressing disparate impact. So they're able to get at all those subjective points, some of the decision makers thinking twice before they, ramp up the level of punishment or the level of prosecution. Keeping kids shallow is what we're all about in juvenile now, so I think they're doing a great job. We also have a good collaboration between juvenile, probate, and our district court and county court at law judge who are creating mental health courts. And, probate has taught me a lot. Elise has taught me a lot about what I can and cannot order. So I'll order a kid to go to a hospital and you can't do that. So they have to go voluntarily. Their parents have to place them voluntarily. But they have their other outside or external motivation that they would rather not be in my lovely juvenile detention center. And so they typically will agree to that's in their best interest. One of the things I want to say too is that we have this idea now that because of the way that Elise started the program and now it's with our Megan Miller, that the Managed Mental Health Council is the expert. And I think we all have kind of conceded that point, and I know that sounds minor, but with a group of big egos of elected officials and, law enforcement and all that, they do concede that they need to agree. I think this commission is more effective than you even realize at a level that has been spoken about, where law enforcement now looks at me as not the enemy. And often in the past, as defense lawyers, we were against each other, but on these mental health cases, we're kind of on the same team, like what's the best outcome for the community, safety, and all of those addressed. I want to say thank you to Chief Justice Hecht, and who's not here, and Chief Judge Sharon Keller for their vision and implementation, but because I know both of them are retiring. And I feel really grateful to Judge Hervey, and I tackled her in the bathroom and said that, that I'm really grateful because before she opened up her original thinking and generously shared her own experience, I didn't think that we could take into our mental health court kids with ID or DD, and now I have a very strong, wonderful relationship with our IDD kids, and so you've been an incredible influence and saved some kids in our state, so thank you. That's it.
Good afternoon. I'm very much feeling like I'm back in elementary school, bringing up the rear when they would have us line up in alphabetical order. But I'm Steve Wolleb. I'm the General Counsel of the Texas Hospital Association. We have over 470 hospital and hospital system members, really spanning the gamut in terms of urban and rural, for-profit, nonprofit, public-private, and private psychiatric facilities and mental health facilities. Our attention right now, as you can imagine, is sort of oriented towards the legislative session. We have a number of behavioral health priorities that we'll be pursuing on behalf of our membership, as we have done in sessions past. One area of focus is trying to ensure the financial viability of private psychiatric facilities. That is a critical part of the backbone of the safety net that we have here in Texas for persons who need to be hospitalized, who are in a mental health crisis. And when you see, lists of hospitals in the media that are, have exorbitant profits, you never see psychiatric facilities on those lists. Their margins are extremely thin. And so, as we have before, we'll be talking to the legislature about things like pursuing a waiver of the IMD exclusion at the federal level to allow for Medicaid coverage of the full span of an inpatient admission, coverage for partial hospitalization programs and intensive outpatient therapy programs to try to get people out of the hospital, free up capacity in the state and in the inpatient setting, and get people to the right care setting. And then on the contracted beds front, expanding the number of contracted beds and the rates paid under those contracted beds. We'll be working on other non-financial related priorities, particularly in the emergency detention and orders of protective custody space, trying to build on the work that we've done in the past to streamline those processes. When we have people coming into our emergency rooms in a mental health crisis, either transported under an emergency detention or are coming in on their own volition, the priorities are keeping them safe, providing whatever stabilization treatment that they need and that we're capable of providing in the emergency room, and then getting them to the appropriate care setting. And so any barrier that we have in the hospital setting to achieving those goals as it relates to intersection with courts and court processes, we're working on streamlining those processes as well, and I'll be glad to visit with anybody about those offline if you want more information about that. But getting to the prompt, you know, as someone said before, I'm wholly unqualified to be mentoring anybody in this room in your areas of focus, but what I can offer certainly is a perspective of the hospital industry to the extent that would be valuable to you and the work that you're doing, and in keeping in spirit with the second part of the prompt, just to hear you out in terms of what you're seeing and sort of what your pain points are as it relates to interactions with the hospital delivery system. So thank you, and it's good to see everybody.
All right, that was great information, lots of information, and I hope that over the next couple of days at the summit, we all get a chance to visit further about topics of particular interest. So thank you all for sharing what's going on in your communities, and really enjoyed these presentations. I think last but not least, we have a brief update from Erin Morgan, who is from the Office of Court Administration, so that's Megan Lavoie's office, and she has taken over the position of Specialty Courts Program Manager. So, Erin, if you could give us a brief update.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I recently, in April, took over the newly created role of Specialty Courts Program Manager at OCA. That was previously one of the duties of Anissa Johnson. So I've got a number of projects that I'm working on that I won't bore you with, but what I will say is that my background is in probation and in a specialty court and an adult DWI court. So the mental health is not my skill set by trade. So Christy and Molly both have been really instrumental in getting me in touch with people. I have just, for the last 6 months, set out on an educational deep dive into the mental health space. And so they've put me in touch with a lot of you guys in here. Daniela and the people in El Paso are fantastic. I see Judge Hudson over there. I sat in her mental health court. So I really appreciate the collaboration and the education that you're able to give me in this space. And I hope in the near future, in the next year or so, that we'll be able to offer a whole lot more support at the state level than we have up to now.
Judge Carr, did you have something?
I did. As a way of an update, based upon what Judge Jan and Professor Shannon said, this past September, myself and Dr. Carol Natty, and we'll be presenting a scaled-down version of this presentation tomorrow, we were invited by the Texas Center for the Judiciary to make a presentation in front of the large group, whereas in the past, mental health has pretty much been a breakout session. We did present on secondary trauma as it affects judges, attorneys, and other professionals that surround the court system. So that presentation is on for tomorrow. Dr. Natty will be there to provide her brilliant take on everything, and I'll be serving my usual role as eye candy. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. That's all I got to say.
You're great.
Okay, it's a hard act to follow. We didn't get any announcement cards, so I'm assuming there aren't any announcements except for that one. But Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege to not only thank all of you and tell you what a wonderful experience it is, but I've had 2 projects that I'd love to see accomplished down the road that I know Christy has looked into and I want to see happen before I die, okay? One is for whoever has the ability to convince the legislature to put some money into what I call dealing with big farm so that every jail in every county can have drugs that they need to help the people that are in there, okay? Here is the list of the top 10, top 20, so that every county has them. And I think if we bought in bulk, that sounds bad for buying drugs, but if we buy in bulk, I think it'll be cheaper and it would help the entire state. That's one thing I'd like to see happen. The other thing is we have to do as much as we can to make sure that we address the special needs of children, whether it's in school or privately, because I lived through all that. And my child went to public school, and at the time you got the booklet with, you know, all these nice language. The other stuff that you got the first day of school, and you had this booklet that told you what your rights were to have your child tested. And the school district tested him, and I went to every ARD, I did a whole lot of stuff with him, and it was great. Now, Chris will always have issues, but it was very beneficial to me and to him, and I want to see if we help children when they're little, we won't have as many people in any of these facilities. So those are my 2 big wishes. I've talked ad nauseum to Christy about these. I'm sure she's going to make sure they happen. And any help you can give her in this direction, I personally would appreciate. Now, if you're participating in the reentry simulation on Point Reentry Consortium, it starts at 4:15 in the Terrell Hall, which is down the way. The simulation is an interactive activity where participants will be given a folder with a profile of an individual who is reentering society after being incarcerated. You will become that person and go through the steps of reentering society. You'll visit different stations and be assigned tasks. For example, you might be tasked with applying for a driver's license or setting up a bank account. And if you want to set up a bank account for me, that's fine. And you'll anyway now. The purpose of the simulation is to allow participants to experience the common barrier someone reentering society faces. It's very important. We hope it will evoke empathy and help us all think critically about how the reentry process can improve in the future. There's still room for more volunteers if you want to join the activity. And remember, the summit starts tomorrow morning at 8:30 back here in this room. So thank you all, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Next door, maybe?